We're about 45 miles east of Valentine at the Niobrara Preserve, and this is just beautiful. This is absolutely a stunning area. I'm joined today by David Kreitz, who is the program manager. What is it, the very first thing that people notice or talk about when they come here for the very first time?
Openness, space. It's a really big preserve. We have 57,000 acres, mostly in cattle and bison, but just a lot of open hiking areas as well.
And the sky.
And the sky.
And the sky.
Yep.
So this is one of the most unique places in the world in terms of species diversity, which is really what the preserve is all about. Mm-hmm. What is it that makes that so unique?
So we're right at the edge of where the west meets the east. And we have a lot of species that cross over. In fact, we have two of a lot of species. So we'll have the eastern and western versions of each species, like meadowlarks. We'll have the eastern meadowlark, we'll have the western meadowlark. We're the furthest east place in the United States that ponderosa pine occurs naturally. And so our riverbank is full of ponderosa pine up and down. We also have boreal forest, which is really strange to be in Nebraska and say that, but we have lots of canyons that come off the sandhills, and each of those canyons has generally a spring that starts in the top of it and runs down, so it's cooler. A lot of species that can't live out in the sandhill environment do really well there. So we have paper birch and we have aspen. Quite a few other tree species. That's the only place in Nebraska they exist is in these canyons.
This is also a working ranch, though. So,
correct.
What do bison and cattle have to do with preserving species and all of this magnificence?
Sure. One of the biggest ways we work to maintain that diversity is by creating, it's our buzzword term here, heterogeneity. We like things to be different across all kinds of areas. So our biggest goal is to be 20% of our preserve, we want to be short. We want it to be grazed like a golf course. 20% of our preserve, we want to be tall. We want it to grass is head height. Everything else in between is somewhere in between. And the reason we do that is all of those different types really work to help certain animals, certain plants, help them thrive.
You know, I think we learn a lot of lessons from you for application in other locations. People are interested in prairie. They want to use these plants in more urban settings.
Right.
And burning is one of the methods that controls some of these.
Right.
But you burn and you manage a little differently, and that's a part of both your research and making this a working ranch and an educational institution.
Yeah, so we burn for a couple reasons. One, it's the only way we manage our bison grazing. We don't have, where our pastures are 10 and 12,000 acres. We don't have lots of little pastures to break them up in. So how can you concentrate grazing in one area and let the other area relax? Well, you burn. When we burn a patch, the bison will live on that burn for the next 6 months. So when we do those burns, the bison move over there, they graze in that newly fresh burned area, the most nutritious grass they'll get anywhere on the preserve, and at the same time they're letting the other part of the pasture rest and recover.
You have miles and miles of hiking trails, probably one of the longest ones along the river.
Right.
What can people expect to see if they actually get out here and hike?
The one trail that I really suggest people go on, it's managed by us and the Park Service. It'll get you into all 6 of those ecotypes that we have here, all in one 2-mile trail. So you'll get upland prairie, you'll get lowland down by the river, you'll walk down a canyon that's going to get you some of that boreal feel and look. You're going to see wet areas, dry areas, and everything in between. It's just a really cool place to go. And in really an hour and a half, you can see a lot of what we have here.
What is the Norden Chute, and why is that so popular with photographers, with paddlers?
Sure. So the Norden Chute, which is actually right behind us, it's a place where the Niobrara River comes into a really tight bottleneck, all naturally. Like no one built that. It's about a 4.5-5 foot fall that drops down. Really interesting. The very first time I was here on the preserve, the end of the chute was almost under the bridge you came across. Mm-hmm. Every year it's moving back about 25 to 30 feet. So I would imagine in not too many more years there won't be a Norden Chute. It'll be the Norden Rapids, or it'll be something like that. But what's happening now is that river comes in falls down that waterfall, and then it's pinned in by rock on both sides. So it creates about a 45, 50 foot wide channel where all the river comes into one spot.
So people who want to see it should do it now as opposed
Sooner
to
rather
wait.
than later. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
exactly.
It'll be here for a few more years, but not forever.
Well, this is an amazing place. If I were closer, I would be here every single weekend. And we thank you absolutely so much for letting us come and talk to you about it.
Okay, great. I'm glad you guys came.